Hey, what is going on guys, Tech Enthusiast here, and in this video I have a more in-depth comparison between the Xiaomi Mi 8 and the OnePlus 6. So in this video I will do a side-by-side analysis on most of the features and give my opinion and explain which of these two phones is the better device. Now with that being said, let's get started. Starting off with the Xiaomi Mi 8, and here you can see some of the key highlights such as the Snapdragon 845 CPU and up to 256GB of storage. Just looking at the price, you really are getting bang for your buck. And here is the OnePlus 6, which many people still consider it having flagship specs at a mid-range price. And again, here you can see some of the key specs. It also has the Snapdragon 845 CPU and up to 256GB of storage. On to the included accessories. The Mi 8 comes with a quick charge 3.0 charger, a USB Type-C cable, a Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter, and a TPU case. The OnePlus 6 has the dash charger, a USB Type-C cable, and a TPU case. So it is a draw. In terms of the extra features, the Mi 8 doesn't have a headphone jack, and they also removed the IR blaster. The OnePlus 6 still has the headphone jack as well as the alert slider, and you don't see that in many phones, so the OnePlus 6 does better here. As for the build quality, both of the phones have aluminium constructed bodies. The rear panel on both the Mi 8 and OnePlus 6 have Gorilla Glass 5. Now having said that, both of these phones are actually slippery when holding them, so you may be better off using a case. The fingerprint sensor for both of these phones are located on the back. The sensor on the Mi 8 is full circle and a curved rectangular shape on the OnePlus 6 like the Galaxy S9 series, so it's not as easy as to press. Regardless of the shape, they unlock really fast. Both of these phones have face unlocking, but the Mi 8 has an infrared light emitter and infrared camera which they copied from their iPhone 10. The OnePlus 6 does unlock slightly faster than the Mi 8, however in pitch black, face unlock works on the Mi 8 thanks to the extra infrared sensors. Now to address the elephant in the room, and that is the notch. This year Android phones jumped on the notch bandwagon, and the Mi 8 took it quite far by imitating the iPhone 10 with the wide notch. They have packed in the extra infrared sensors, which means you lose more of the screen estate, so you can't see notifications unless you swipe down on the screen, which is inconvenient. The Mi 8 has fingerprint unlocking, so it is pointless having the extra sensors for face unlocking and losing that screen area. You can hide the sides of the screen so it blends in with the notch. The implementation of the notch is better on the OnePlus 6. Moving on to the display, they both have 1080p panels. The Mi 8 has stepped up by having a Super AMOLED display and the size is 6.21 inches. The OnePlus 6 still has the Optic AMOLED screen and a slightly larger screen at 6.28 inches. The black levels are very good with great viewing angles on both of the phones. Without changing or calibrating the display, the colors on the OnePlus 6 are slightly punchier than the Mi 8. In everyday use, both of these panels offer an incredible viewing experience, and for 1080p panels, they are easily some of the best on the market. This is a short clip from Avengers to check the audio quality. I'm not sure if you were able to notice, but I found the Mi 8 sounded slightly better than the OnePlus 6. Both of these phones ship with Android 8.1 Oreo, which also means it supports Project Treble. There is active development right now on XDA forums for custom ROMs for the OnePlus 6. Also, the OnePlus 6 has a beta version of Android 9 Pie in public beta. With the Mi 8, well, Xiaomi in particular, ROM development isn't as active because of the wait time for the bootloader unlocking and the release of kernel sources. The updates are also slower compared to OnePlus. The software on the Mi 8 is running a heavily skinned version of Android which is called MIUI, and version 10 is available. Once again, it is trying to copy iOS. Take for example the home screen or the desktop, there is no app drawer. The brightness slider you see here is an exact copy from iOS. However, there are some nice additions on the phone like the themes. There is a ton to choose from. You can also have gesture navigation, which will disable the navigation bars. A quick swipe up on the screen acts as the home button. Swiping up and holding your finger will bring up the recents panel. And finally, swiping from the side of the screen acts as the back button. As you can see here, it works really well. The OnePlus 6 has Oxygen OS and is practically stock Android with some additional tweaks added by OnePlus. If you have used stock Android before, then you'll get along just fine. It is also customizable to a certain extent. You can disable the navigation bar so you have full screen navigation. The OnePlus 6 also has more gestures than the Mi 8. Even the fingerprint sensor can be used to take a photo. Some gestures also work when the screen is turned off, so you can quickly launch the torch by just drawing any of the letters you can see here. Moving on to the camera, the Mi 8 has a dual 12 megapixel camera which consists of OIS and 2x telephoto. The OnePlus 6 has a dual 16 megapixel camera which supports OIS and EIS. The Mi 8 can currently record 4K at 30 frames per second. The OnePlus 6 is better, it can record 1080p and 4K videos at 60 frames per second. So here are a few camera samples. I believe that the daylight photos are slightly better on the Mi 8. When it comes to portrait photos, it is better on the Mi 8, but they come out quite warm compared to the OnePlus 6. For low light photos, indoors and outdoors, the OnePlus 6 is better. If you want to see the full camera comparison, you can see it by clicking on the card above. Here is a video comparison between these two phones. This is a 1080p recording and they both have good stabilization. However, when it comes to 4K, the Mi 8 for a strange reason doesn't have any stabilization. You can watch the full comparison on my channel. Time for the gaming comparison so we can see how the CPU and the GPU perform. I am using the Dolphin emulator which you can get from the Play Store, which can play GameCube and Wii games. This is Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Wii. Here you can clearly see that it is running between 59 and 60 frames per second. And again on the OnePlus 6, the game is running between 59 and 60 frames per second. So in this category it is a draw as they are performing the same. This is the speed test comparison. So essentially this is a skinned version of Android going up against a very close to stock version of Android. Now when it comes to RAM management, let's just say the Mi 8 performed really well, and again you can see this full speed test as well as many others on my channel. The Mi 8 has a 3400 mAh battery and it is supplied with a quick charge 3.0 adapter, and it is also compatible with the quick charge 4.0 chargers. The OnePlus 6 has a slightly smaller 3300 mAh battery and uses the dash charger. The OnePlus 6 finished charging at 1 hour and 19 minutes with the Mi 8 16 minutes later. Do bear in mind the Mi 8 has a slightly bigger battery and it was not being charged with a quick charge 4 charger. So we have reached the end and the results are really close. Just to summarize on some of the categories I spoke about, when it comes to accessories it is a draw. Xiaomi has removed the headphone jack and the IR blaster, whereas the OnePlus 6 still has the headphone jack. The build quality is pretty much the same, they have glass backs, nothing special here. The fingerprint readers both unlock really fast, so it's a draw. The face unlock works slightly better on the OnePlus 6, but the Mi 8 works in pitch black. The notch on the Mi 8 is just too wide, and as I mentioned, you cannot see notifications unless you swipe down. The implementation is better on the OnePlus 6. As for the display, both phones have AMOLED screens, but the Mi 8 has Super AMOLED, which is better, and it is HDR compliant, which is better for media consumption such as YouTube. The audio quality is quite bad on the OnePlus 6. It's something that a lot of people have also noticed. Both of the phones share the Snapdragon 845 chipset, which makes both of the phones run real smooth. You shouldn't face any kind of lag in day-to-day usage. As for the software, I would have liked to call it a draw, as some users prefer stock Android and others do not. Having said that, the software updates and community support is better on the OnePlus 6, so the OnePlus 6 takes it here. As mentioned earlier in the video, both of these phones come in 3 storage configurations: 64, 128 and 256GB of storage. However, you can only get 8GB of RAM on the 256GB variant of the Mi 8. As for the OnePlus 6, the 128 and 256GB model has 8GB of RAM. For photos, it is a draw because the Mi 8 takes better photos in the day, but the OnePlus 6 takes better low light photos. As for the video recording, the OnePlus 6 is better as it can record 4K at 60 frames per second, which surprisingly the Mi 8 still can't do, but is certainly capable of doing. Both of the phones have the same GPU, the Adreno 630, so for high demanding games it is a draw. The Mi 8 was the winner in the speed test. As for the battery charge test, the OnePlus 6 was faster, and the battery life for both of the phones are pretty much the same. The price is where the Mi 8 wins, and it has dropped slightly more now. Pricing is a major factor when buying a phone. The Mi 8 is a really good flagship at an affordable price. It is really impressive what Xiaomi are doing. Just look at the price of the Pocophone F1. The only issue is that Xiaomi phones are not widely available as the OnePlus 6, and depending on where you buy it from, you may have to pay customs charge. So the winner is the OnePlus 6. The main deciding factors are software updates. It has always been better on the OnePlus phones. The implementation of the notch on the Mi 8 is so bad, just to copy the iPhone 10. For a flagship phone, the Mi 8 still doesn't have 60 frames per second video recording on 4K, let alone 1080p. So that was my pick, but what about you? What do you think about this comparison? Do let me know in the comment section. If you have enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you are new here, then please do consider subscribing and hit that bell notification to see more videos. Please do follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and like always, thanks for watching, and I will catch up with you in the next video.